So Trey Hendrickson spoke yesterday about the contract situation and how everything worked out in the end. And kind of what we all expected is kind of the fact that actually came true, which was the option to take the $14 million bonus and just walk away, well, after this year, obviously, wasn't always on the table. And I think a lot of people expected that concept to be true. And yeah, that's kind of what we got from yesterday's contract. Because in all honesty, especially given the, volatile nature that this offseason saw between the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, at one point, Katie Blackburn, saying what she said about Trey, and Trey coming out and saying that they're not communicating with him, and just the disrespect, him not going to training camp, eventually going to training camp, missing, all this, like this whole entire thing. I feel like during that time period that like it was so toxic and so bad, if this offer was on the table, he probably would have took it. He really would have. And if they would have said, hey, Trey, how about we just give you this offer now and we get this done with, he probably would have said, okay, fine, I'll take it, especially during that time period. But, again, as he says here, that was never an offer. There was never an offer for the $14 million. It seems like this was a last-ditch effort by the Bengals to say, you know what, we just don't want to go into the season with bad blood. We don't want to go into the season with, any distractions, any problems. Because let's be honest, last thing Zach Taylor needs right now is, slow start, because he's already gets a lot of crap for it. Rightfully so, though, because he really does have to get the team ready to go week one. But with that being said, this seems like a last-ditch effort by the Bengals to say, okay, you know what, let's get this done and not worry about it. So, again, like I said, I think this is something a lot of people were expected, and a lot of people kind of thought going into this that, the Bengals are going to kind of give that last-second effort just to try to get this over with. But if this was an offer since the beginning, he probably would have taken it. And we wouldn't have had this whole offseason drama, and we would have been fine. Pretty much there. Which, again, kind of goes against the idea that he did want a long-term contract since the beginning, and that he did care about job security. I'm sure he does definitely still care about that. But it's one of those things where, hey, listen, if it's going to be this toxic and this much of a problem, you might as well just get it done with and get it over with, rather than going back and forth forever for something that really just doesn't seem that, positive. And I'm also sure that he was ready to get done this whole negotiation with the Bengals because, again, based on what we understand, it doesn't seem like it was straightforward. It seems like it was like, oh, okay, well, let's negotiate. Oh, you don't agree with me? All right, we're done negotiating. Like, that's how it seemed with the whole situation, where it was like, we negotiate. Oh, you don't agree with what I'm saying? Okay, goodbye. We're done. And that's pretty much that. So, I'm sure he was kind of like, once given the offer, it might have been like the same minute. Like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll do that. Let's just do anything that isn't working together right now. That's kind of how I feel about it when it comes to this. But, hey, at the end of the day, I'm happy he's signed. I'm happy he's on the squad. I'm happy we have him moving forward. And, I'm ready for this season, and it's going to be a Super Bowl year. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how it got worked out. All that matters is it got worked out, right? There's a million things that happen to get things done in life. Right, and it doesn't matter how you got there, it just matters that you got there. So I'm very ecstatic to see how the season goes, and I do hope after the season we do find a way to keep him. I do think he'll leave personally, but at the end of the day, you know what? That's future problems to deal with. Right now, the problem is get the Lombardi Trophy, put it up in the, be able to have Joe Burrow hold it up in the air, and get this Queen City its first Lombardi. That's all that matters at the end of the day. You can't predict tomorrow. What's the motto? You can't predict tomorrow as today hasn't come yet, or something, or tomorrow hasn't come yet, or something like that. I think it's something in the Bible, where it's like you can't pretty much just be thankful for today as tomorrow hasn't come yet. So we're just one day at a time. That's pretty much how I'm looking at it, okay? That's the summary. That's the TD too long didn't read motto of it. Just we're worried about tomorrow, but today we're worried about winning a Super Bowl. Hoo-day, guys.